Hi, I'm Carrie, and here is The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Spark, written in 1961. Now, it's a book we just finished doing in our book club at Mimico Public Library in Toronto, and the consensus was that nobody liked Jean Brodie, the title character, who is a teacher at an Edinburgh private school in the 1930s. And she, if you're familiar with the movie or even the play, she's famous for describing her girls in her class as the creme de la creme. And she teaches them over the course of several years before they move on to a senior school. What she determines are the important aspects of life, none of which are on the curriculum of the school, which brings her into conflict with the headmistress. Jean Brodie is a complicated character, someone who we don't entirely get under the skin of, and that's intentional on the author's part, and really what gives the book its brilliance, because she doesn't supply her characters with complete or rounded personalities, or should I say that she doesn't try to explain every bit of them. They are mysteries. Their motivations, why they end up as they do after they've left school and become adults. And this is as it should be. And it's one of the hardest things for novelists to do, is to resist the temptation to draw a line under their characters, or to fully explain them as though they were math problems to be understood at the end of a long column of figures. And I think this is the problem. This is why Jean Brodie can be a little hard for people to take. She's entertaining, but she's also completely foolish. She keeps referring to herself as being in the prime, that she's in her prime. And she doesn't quite define what that means. She seems to think that means that she's at the height of her powers, although her powers are limited to teaching these girls, and she does not necessarily teach them well. She gives them a broad range of a broad exposure to other things outside the curriculum, art and so on, excursions into Edinburgh's grimmer corners. But at the same time, she's a big fan of Mussolini. This book is set in the 1930s, needless to say, and also seems interested in Hitler. Likes the fact that they are compelling personalities and orderly, or have brought order to their respective countries. The story continues till shortly after World War II. When Brodie passes away, never really understanding how she ended up being fired from the school. And the truth is that one of her pupils betrayed her by revealing her questionable political leanings, or at least interests. And the girls are a fascinating collection. One becomes a nun, but the rest, despite being described as the creme de la creme and supposedly benefiting from Jean Brodie's acumen and worldliness, don't become anything in particular. And even as far as we know, largely forget her. Find her an amusing character from their past, an interesting character, but there has been no real impact. So it's a fascinating novel in that it leaves loose ends. It requires us to confront really the mystery of other people, why they are as they are, and the realization that we'll never fully know them, and can't appreciate or foresee, rather, what will become of them. Because the ends of the children, as we meet them in the 1930s, are not foreseeable, even though Spark certainly gives us little short details about what each one becomes. And as I said, only one of them really becomes something out of the ordinary, out of the group of 6 or 7. Anyway, she's certainly a fine writer, prose and characterization. And even though my book club wasn't too thrilled with reading it, I certainly enjoyed it. And promo time, my book, The Skeleton Palms, a noir thriller set in California and Nevada, very dark, very violent. And if you'd like to take a look at it, it's available, of course, on Amazon. Thanks very much. Bye.